We were expecting some new developments this weekend, but some of them have failed quality control. Make sure you indicate what you'd like redeveloped via the workstation.
Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2018 career mode, episode number 94 today for the British Grand Prix in Season 5. If you guys did miss the previous episode then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one. But headed into the Silverstone weekend, then one failure on the car, unfortunately, which is the brakes update we purchased. So we got that minor ERS improvement, but the brakes will have to wait till next episode then, unfortunately, for us to repurchase that. So in the R&D chart then, Renault continued to make improvements there with a minor upgrade of their own, so they maintain that first position. Red Bull just about get ahead of McLaren. You can't really see it there on the actual screen. It's very faint in blue, but they are ahead of McLaren now in the third slot, so we might see an improvement finally from Red Bull, because they've been plateauing pretty much for the last 6 episodes now, so improvement for them. And then a big improvement from Mercedes there to technically leap ahead of Toro Rosso, although I don't know how much that's going to improve them, because they've hardly really improved since the last 3 seasons, really. And last episode, we really saw a strong performance from both Toro Rosso and Sauber, so that'll be interesting to see if that carries forward here into Silverstone. But going into qualify then, unfortunately for me, it is going to be a wet quali, and around here already I've had some funny business with the AI being really good around Silverstone. And so going into this session, definitely wasn't the most confident I have been this season so far. And we start the flying laps then, and we're going to let the Toro Rosso car through, because I thought he was on a flyer. So I thought I'd let him through, try and get some clean air there. But to my surprise, he kind of sticks there a little bit into turn 1. So already kind of almost ruined that first flying lap. But it's fine, because I want to get a banker time in, basically, to try and see what our kind of delta is. It's really annoying, actually. I feel like they need to do an update at some point to allow you to have a delta time on the top right, just compared to another car, not yourself. Because at the moment, I'm just driving blind, and I don't even know how fast I'm going technically around the circuit. You can see having real issues there. So really, this is just going to be a pure banker lap. Already making 2 mistakes there, and going slow anyway in sector 1. But then, like I said, to my surprise, the Toro Rosso just slows down and slows down through left field then, and so I'm going to end up probably trying to overtake him again. But yeah, we filled up on fuel for about 5 laps, I would say. So on maximum fuel mixture, that will probably last us about 3 to 4 laps. So we've got, you know, just under 5 minutes left in the session, so it should be just about right to get about 3 laps in, maybe 4 if we're lucky right at the end of the day. But this first one really was just a throwaway lap time, really just to get the delta time bar on the right hand side. And now this is a real first flyer, because that first one is woefully off the pace in P20 there. So now we come through, we've gained more than a second then on this next lap then, so a much better lap time, of course, and hopefully this can see us go up the order safely into Q2. As we go a little bit deep though, we lock up on the left hand side there, so definitely lost some time as we go struggling through the last corner, really soaring away at the steering wheel. It's only going to be P17 then, so worrying times at the moment. 2 minutes to go in this session then. We'll go for another lap. At the moment I'm red, and I'm not improving too much. On the exit of Le Fil, we're still red, which is normally where a place I gain quite a fair bit in the traction zone, so it's just not looking all round too amazing for us as we come through to the last bit of the lap. Then we're going to gain some time through the last corner. Obviously this time, last time on the second flying lap, I lost a lot of time soaring away at the wheel, so I do gain a decent amount, but still across the line, and it's not going to be enough. We remain P17 despite improving our lap time. Obviously not by too much, but still improved it. And then to my surprise, through the first sector there, I start gaining time quite exponentially, actually, through every single corner going green, just gaining a little bit more time. Little did I know that was because I was on such low fuel that pretty much I was going to run out of fuel by the middle way stage of this lap. And so as we go down the main straight, I had a hunch about that. I checked the indicator, and what you know, we're on low fuel mode, and we won't be able to finish this lap because the car goes into low fuel mode. It goes very slow. Even if I put it into lean mixture, it's not going to do anything. And so that is it. That is our session over. And so a really frustrating and annoying one. And once again, just kind of showcasing the AI being so utterly good in these conditions here. And, you know, Vettel in the same car is able to go so much faster, but he's only in P10 anyway, so it looks like our car was maybe struggling in the wet away from just me. But, yeah, very frustrating times to be knocked out in P17. But literally can't do much about that. It was going to be a full wet session for all of Q1, Q2, Q3, and so I just can't match the AI around here. And so the only actual positive that will come out of this is that we'll go to the engine, and we will get a brand new allocation of the internal combustion engine and the turbocharger added to our pool of components there. So we'll get a 4th column for the internal combustion engine and a 4th column for the turbocharger. That will really help out, because already the internal combustion engine and the turbocharger has been wearing out quite a fair bit. So that 4th column will come in real handy later on in the season, and we might save ourselves engine penalties at the end of the season right now by taking it here at Silverstone. So not the way I wanted to start off the race weekend for my home Grand Prix, of course, but you know, you can't really really change things like that. I can't change the weather, unfortunately. So here we go then. Into Sunday, we're going to be last place on the grid, and we're just going to have to make the most of it, really. So let's go to the grid and see how we do.
The pain of parting is nothing to the joy of meeting again. And how joyous indeed it is to be back at Silverstone once more for the British Grand Prix. The queues to get in this morning extended miles back down the A43, such is the enthusiasm for Formula One in this country. With good opportunities to overtake at the end of the Wellington and Hangar Straights, there's a lot of potential for close action around the 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit. With 18 corners and average lap speeds of around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the longest and quickest circuits on the calendar. Also here, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
It's been a really solid year so far. There have been some incredible standout performances, but what's really impressed me has been the consistency. With this kind of form, I'm expecting another great race today.
We're almost ready to go then, and this is what the starting grid looks like for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Raikkonen, Max Verstappen and Sainz, Magnussen, Hülkenberg, Alonso and Roman Grosjean, Gasly, Leclerc, Stoffel Van Dorn and Ericsson, Hartley, Perez, Esteban Ocon and Sergei Sirotkin, Stroll and the engineer. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
So, surprise, surprise, since I didn't make it into Q2 or Q3, the Season 1 performances kicked in the intermediate conditions, and so it's a 1-2 for Mercedes, a front row lockout, something we haven't seen since probably Season 1 of this career mode. So that's a bit of a shame, but anyway, we kick things off here from last place. It's going to be a one-stop strategy, soft tyre to the mediums there. Pretty straightforward, really. The only thing will be trying to take care of those soft tyres at the end of the stint, and the same thing with the mediums here, but we're going to try and avoid the blue hard tyres today because they're quite horrendous tyres already in any kind of scenario. So here we go then to 5 red lights to the British Grand Prix, our home race here from last place on the grid. Let's try and turn the tables here from yesterday. Fire lights are out and we're underway. It's actually a really good getaway there compared to the young Canadian. On the left hand side is his teammate Sirotkin, gets his elbows out quite a fair bit, trying to hustle and harry the Force Indies into turn 1. Very tight stuff being on the inside, but we make it through and survive. And now into the village section, we can go up into P18 maybe, down the inside of the Force India and the Williams car alongside though, and we get cleanly swiped across there by Sergei Sirotkin. Despite having more than half a car's length alongside him there, he just decided to turn in on us and just not acknowledge us being there. So now we're around the outside of the Russian, eventually though through onto the back straight, then towards the field section. We've got a 3-wide moment there. You've got Ericsson versus Van Dorn and Brendan Hartley in the Toro Rosso there, as he really gets pushed out wide and he gets thumped by the Force India on the exit of Sergio Perez. So we're going to find ourselves going the long way round of him on the exit of the field, and he's still going to give us a good fight. So despite Hartley having a poor getaway from the fibre lights, obviously in a straight line that Toro Rosso is still pretty damn good. So we're going to have to try and do this on the exit of Copse. Very close stuff still on the exit there, literally a paper's distance between myself and Hartley there on the exit. We make it through and we sling through into Magda Beckett, and we're up the order. Now we can chase after the Mexican who is just behind the 2 Saubers, sandwiching Stoffel Van Dorn. So it looks like the Saubers have lost a little bit of pace compared to Austria, where they're right up there, or at least Leclerc was right up there in the top 5. But here we go now, dive down the inside of Perez. Can we make this happen? Mid-corner there, going to have to try and hope that he can give us the room there. So I try and slot in behind him and behind Ericsson there, as we've now got Leclerc who's been overtaken by Van Dorn. So definitely the Saubers not finding the speed around Silverstone, much more of a high-speed aero circuit compared to Austria. So I think you could see there from last episode, the Saubers definitely were kind of abusing their engine power and traction power rather than the downforce, and very, very close there to Leclerc there, as we just about ducked out to the inside there. Leclerc gets squeezed out by Ericsson, so mid-apex that could have been a nasty bit of crash and contact there. So thankfully just about understeered a little bit past him on the right-hander, and so we're up into P14. So a pretty okay getaway, but I would have liked to have been at least maybe P12, P11 by the time we get to lap 2, but unfortunately obviously got held up quite a fair bit. But we should be able to get past Ericsson then on this next lap and then get a move on and crack the top 10 really. But oh my god, what on earth has just happened there? Ericsson has stopped mid-corner and has just gone backwards, and that might just be the weirdest glitch I've seen on the F1 2018 game so far with my own eyes there in my own race. That is bonkers. What on earth was that? We're going to look at a replay. I'll just replay the clip and see what went on. He just stops. It's like someone just halted his car, and then he, thankfully for me, I ghosted through him, because otherwise I would have slammed into him, probably lost my front wing, and maybe even lost my front wheel there on him. So very odd crash, very odd scenario, and it means I don't actually overtake him and I lose a place after actually overtaking his ghost car there. But anyway, out in the lead then is Daniel Ricciardo, actually. So the man who's not been in form so far in the last couple of episodes is back out in front of a F1 Grand Prix. Then that was Lewis Hamilton in second place, still doing quite well off his pole position time. We've got Vettel in third, the two Renaults behind, followed by Bottas. So both Mercedes still trying to cling on desperately to what they had. And then you've got the likes of Verstappen, Alonso, Hartley, Grosjean, and that's the kind of the train we're trying to catch once we get past the Sauber, basically. Then we need to re-overtake of Marcus Ericsson after initially already overtaking him once via a weird glitch, and then we went down the order again in Cops. We'll now make the move, and it's going to be a pretty simple one with DRS. Once again, our car flexing its muscles in the DRS zones with the DRS upgrades we've done so far this season. We've actually had 2 upgrades now to the DRS, so really great work. The car works well in these kind of overtaking scenarios there. But I'm still just trying to recover from what on earth the baffling kind of glitch I just seen there. I've really honestly never seen a car just stop mid-corner out of the blue. Like, there wasn't even a yellow flag, there wasn't a safety car, it just stopped mid-corner. The yellow flag got called out because it stopped mid-corner. Very, very odd. But anyway, we're going to move through the Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo still leads the way. Vettel is now up into second place there, so good overtake there for the German ahead of Hamilton, who still clings on to a podium place. Then you've got the Renaults, you've got Fernando Alonso ahead of actually one Renault of Hülkenberg, actually. So Hülkenberg looks like he's going quite slowly, because Verstappen is even pressurizing him in a straight line. Verstappen goes for the dive around the outside then into the chicane, make to the inside for the last 2 corners. It's a brilliant move there from the Dutchman, but Hülkenberg clearly has some sort of issue there, because he's going way slower than his teammate Carlos Sainz, who's still right up there in P4 ahead of Fernando Alonso. So once again, the 2 Spaniards might play around with each other on track, but now we move up the order. P13 closing up on Romain Grosjean there, and we're going to dive it down the inside. We're going to take no for an answer on that right-hander. Grosjean almost squeezed me onto the grass, just like Sergei Sorokin's AI do. So I don't know what on earth the coding's in that apex, but they just forget cars there alongside them. Even if I'm fully alongside that, like it was with Grosjean there, but we stick our elbows out and thankfully make the pass stick. And so now up into P12, and on the exit of Maggots and Beckett's now opening DRS with overtake mode on the ERS as well. But at this point, not actually using rich mix, so we're trying to save some fuel in this stage of the Grand Prix. We go down the inside of not only 1 but 2 cars there of Magnussen as well. So both of them taken in one foul swoop, and so now we're up into P10, and we're finally in the points-paying positions. But right up ahead is a fight between Valtteri Bottas and Hülkenberg, and Bottas gets past the slow Renault. So that's how you know there's an issue with Hülkenberg's car right now, because the Mercedes is overtaking the last race winner, who dominated Austria. Hülkenberg actually comes back at him and squeezes him out into turn 1. So now we can try and find some space on the inside to Village, and this same place now, 3rd time lucky, making the move down the inside. This time though, Bottas puts up a much better fight than actually Grosjean in the Williams car ever did, and so around the outside we're going to have to hang this as we go on to the main straight here with DRS again opened up, overtake mode. We're nearly pushed off completely onto the grass there. Bottas really pushing me to the right hand side there to keep me there, but we're going to find it and the long way around into Le Fil then, and we're up into P9 before we even hit the apex there. So nice stuff. And now next up will be the very easy pass on Hülkenberg then, so some kind of mechanical issue I'm guessing maybe, and so it'll be a very simple pass in a straight line there. Meanwhile his teammate is all the way up in P4, so unfortunate for Hülkenberg, because I thought maybe that was going to be the start of him building some momentum here, but clearly not at the moment this stage of the race. But now we've got yellow flags as we move on to lap number 9 because of Daniel Ricciardo. He's going to be out of the British Grand Prix then, so the race leader with a DNF here now. So Ricciardo went on from having so much luck and consistency in the first 5 races to really being in a huge slump now in the last kind of 6 rounds now, and so that will technically mean I think Sebastian Vettel, my teammate, will be leading this Grand Prix now. So that's going to be a little bit worrying for me, because I already started last and got knocked out in Q1, so that's going to take my reputation down, and if he wins the race, well, that's just going to take it down even further. So a little bit worrying, but anyway, we move later on to the Grand Prix. We're going to come in now for an earlier pit stop along with a few cars here. I'm going to try the undercut. The undercut's quite powerful here around Silverstone, so although we go a little bit earlier maybe than I wanted to onto mediums, I think it should be beneficial. And to be fair, I think we've gained in the pit lane here, because I think we've actually, yeah, we've jumped Fernando Alonso then. He got massively held up, and so we're in P13 at the moment, and we weren't this close to Gasly as well. So we've gained huge, so that was a really great choice for us to come in. Of course, my pit box is right at the beginning, with Ferrari being at the beginning of the pit lane for Silverstone here. Obviously, the very unique pit lane that goes underground almost. That's why they put the kind of top teams at the start of the pit lane. So we've really benefited there, because we jumped Alonso in the pit stops there, and he was up in, I think, what was it, P4 or P5. So we could be looking quite good as we come through now into turn 1, lap 12. Through turn 1 with DRS activated there, and we're up into now what would be P6. So very good stuff there. So we gained 1 position Alonso, but you know, P6 now, right behind Gasly. Will be P5 soon, hopefully. Can we overtake the Frenchman there? And at the moment still, Sebastian Vettel leads the Grand Prix. So good news for us in terms of as a team there. It's a 1-6 now, but good news, better news for me personally is now I'm a little bit closer now to Sebastian, because I need to try and do all I can to try and match him and try and get as high up in this Grand Prix if I don't want my team to give me a good old bollocking right at the end of the race. So here we go now, DRS open overtake mode on the ERS, and Richmond's going, and on the left hand side, pretty simple pass there. The car once again really working well in a straight line there when DRS is activated. We're up into P5 now as we now watch a scrap up ahead between Carlos Sainz and Verstappen. That was Verstappen overtaking Sainz whilst we overtook Gasly there, but Sainz going to come back at the Dutchman now through the field there in a really nice side-by-side battle there, the two jockeying for position. Sainz though ultimately will get the traction down as Verstappen backs out that, both of them on medium tyres, so it doesn't look like anyone is opting for the hard blue wall compound tyres there this race compared to last season where we had the Renaults feeling the tyre wear and feeling the need to go into those blue wall tyres. As now we've got Gasly fighting us back now on the outside. He tries to do something with DRS, doesn't quite work out, but through Stowe now, we're in a little bit deep to ensure we defend in that position, so Gasly has a much better run and kick off that apex there, and so he's going to find some space on the outside. He'll do a big old dive bomb there. We're going to have to give him the space because he's alongside fully, and so now we're side by side, too wide there through the last 2 corners. Absolutely awesome stuff. Eventually Gasly has to lift off and give us the space then, so we're going to maintain P5, but it's a great scrap at the moment with Pierre Gasly here at the British Grand Prix, but this is not helping my fight to try and close up to Verstappen there. That gap on the minimap is still staying put, and now Gasly's going to come back at us towards the left field section, dive down the inside there, and Alonso is close behind, and we just can't find the room to feed it to the inside of Gasly, nor the outside there, and so Gasly's done some good placing this car, and he's up into P5 once again this Grand Prix with 11 laps to go in this race. At the moment it's looking like we're locked in for a fight between these two guys, because Alonso now is hustling and harrying us down the inside of Copse. He goes, but we do well to defend against him. A little bit of contact had to be made as he really forced his way down the inside there, but it's pretty much near impossible to actually do side by side through Copse unless one of you guys lift off, but I don't think any of us were going to plan to lift off there ever. But now we're going to creep back up on Gasly on lap 16 there. Once again, it's an easy pass here into Stowe once we have DRS, but once we're the guy ahead of him without DRS, our car once again just becomes quite a draggy package here. And so it's a bit unfortunate that I don't think there's any drag reduction upgrades left to do on the car, unfortunately, on the R&D tree. So let's scratch my head really how we kind of resolve this issue here. But we now move on towards lap 19. Bit of a shake on the exit, the last corner, and Gasly's going to get a very good run. He'll have DRS as well to send one down the inside. This is going to be very close. We're going to lift off a tad, but we just about hang it through there. Really wrestling the steering wheel, trying to keep this car in a straight line. We're able to keep the car in a straight line on the left-hand side, and Gasly actually backed out of that, so much so that now Alonso is side by side with him there, and Alonso will have the inside line for the second part of Village, and he'll get that overtake done and will be up the order. So now Alonso might be the one hustling and harrying us as we go on to the last few stages of this Grand Prix with 6 laps to go. And now we move on to a battle for P1 here. This is Carlos Sainz chasing after Sebastian Vettel, the lead and only one Renault in this race really, because Hockenheim's gone down and down the order. And here he goes, the move down the inside. It's going to be a really nice move. Look at that shot. Lovely swoop there on the outside of Vettel. What a move for the race leader of the British Grand Prix. And Sainz now waltzes away like an absolute yellow rocket ship away from Vettel there in second place. But Seb looks like he's quite comfortable for P2, because Verstappen actually is still being hounded by Hamilton for P3 there. So the Mercedes upgrades, at least for Hamilton, working well then. Hamilton out driving the car quite a fair bit to try and get a first podium for Mercedes in actually ages, I would say, probably since season 3 or season 2 probably, as we now go into the last few corners then. Blue flags up here for the Williams car. Alonso right behind me as well as Gasly, so we're going to probably take home this train of these 3 cars, unfortunately for me. I don't think I have the pace to catch up to Verstappen and that Merc, surprisingly. But into turn 1, the Williams. What on earth is the Williams doing? What the hell? The Williams car, what on earth have you just done? What on earth have I just witnessed there? That was perhaps the stupidest way to let me through under blue flags, and we're out of the British Grand Prix. That is it. We're out of my home race. No points today. DNF. And it's all because of some stupidity. Utter stupidity. What on earth is this driving here? He was under blue flags for about 3 corners before deciding to actually pull over. But then he pulls back onto the racing line. And, well, it's from his POV, he didn't even feel the contact there. But look at this. He initially moves to the middle of the circuit. So, number one, that was kind of bad. Moved to the middle. Then moved right to the apex. Fair enough. Okay, going to keep tight on the line. Let me go on the outside of him to turn 1. But then he decides, no, I'll go back to the racing line, actually, after cutting the corner and going and having the weirdest racing line anyway into turn 1. He'll cut across on the left and go back to the racing line and just pummel me into turn 1 and also hit Gasly, because I think Gasly hit my rear end. Alonso actually got very lucky, went around the outside of me, but oh my god, look at that. I just did another replay of the clip there, and yeah, Alonso gets very lucky. Alonso gets very, very lucky. That was the only contact he had, but Gasly behind me hit my rear end and he was out of the Grand Prix as well, so double DNF there for me and Gasly. From a lapped car. We already had a Williams car of Sorokin take out 2 people at Canada after being lapped. What is it with the Williams car and being lapped this season and in this period, ironically, after we just had some controversy at Brazil with a lapped car taking a race leader out? What is it now? The game's like reacting to what's happening in real life there. Absolutely, just absurd way to end the race.
A great win then for the Renault team today. And I have to wonder, Anthony Davidson, just what set them apart from the competition here.
The difference was clearly in the strategy. You could tell they'd done a lot of work on the pit wall to really optimise each stint and get the most out of the tyres. And it highlights just how much of a team sport this really is. But credit to the driver as well, though. There's no good having a well-oiled machine behind the scenes without a talented hand on the wheel, of course.
As we can see, it's time for the podium, and I can see the Renault team underneath our commentary box going crazy as their drivers walk out. It was a great win, and it means a great deal to this team.
So in the end, it will be Carlos Sainz that wins the British Grand Prix. Vettel in second. Verstappen did get that 3rd place in the end, with Alonso creeping up to 4th place there. And Gasly somehow finished up in P5, even though on my screen he retired, because when I looked behind me, his tyre was clearly sheared off. But for some reason, the game, when I retired from the Grand Prix, I guess maybe it retired me, and in that instant, it kind of shut down the Grand Prix and simulated the rest. And from the pinpoint point of where I DNF'd, Gasly was still in the race, I think. That's what happened, because on my screen, definitely Gasly did retire, or it looked like he at least retired, I assume that. But Gasly up into P5, and Hamilton actually slumped down to P6 in the end, but still 2 good points-paying positions for the Mercedes cars there to finally get on the board in some kind of significant matter. But that is going to be a big hit then in the Drivers' Championship, because now Alonso, who is still in 2nd place, is now only 20 points behind me, rather than, what was it, I think 40 plus maybe, or 30 plus at least, from the last race there. So Fernando gains quite a fair bit, but Ricciardo with the DNF still there in 3rd place there. Hülkenberg, though, with the bad race as well, doesn't actually climb up the table. It's only Carlos Sainz that climbs up ahead of both Gasly and Vettel then. So yeah, very, very odd Grand Prix. I mean, first of all, we had that weird glitch with the Sauber, and then we get taken out by a lapped car on the blue flags in the weirdest way. It was just so dangerous the way he swiped into the apex and then swiped back out, because when I saw him go to the apex and literally cut in the corner, I thought, okay, I'll swoop on the outside, and then he cut across, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to have to go to the inside then last minute. And, you know, basically I tried to do what I did against, if you remember, Leclerc in the first part of the race. I tried to go to his inside there, but I was already coming in so quickly because I just assumed he was going to stay to the inside. So very, very odd stuff there. So constructors-wise, we're still in the lead. Renault climb up to 2nd place then with that win ahead of McLaren in the championship. Red Bull still close behind in 4th, but it's still only 4th. But it's a very close fight between P2 to P4 for the Constructors' Championship. And then you can see Mercedes finally get ahead of Haas then after only scoring 19 points in the season so far. So a pretty bleak season so far for the German outfit there. But we're going to go to the end of the episode then. No interviews there from the game. Clearly the game thought I'd be too pissed off to answer any questions there, but like I said, we got a rep decrease probably for the bad qualifying, and with Vettel finishing second, and also us not getting the qualifying second or better target team goal for the contract, we have got a reputation of 0. We have got a blank bar. So I don't know what that means. It's not a contract negotiation weekend yet in the career mode cycle of this season, so I don't know what this means going forward, but pretty much I think this is the real-life equivalent of my team and me hating each other and kind of disowning me in a way. I have no explanation. I've never really had this in a career mode before, so very, very odd stuff there. But we're going to go ahead and fix that brake caliper part on the R&D tree, and I guess we just reset and go again next race and hope we can have a better one. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know your thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, you can subscribe for weekly F1 content. I've been aarava. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.